Zach. Bacigalupo. That name. Do you know how long it's... I was reading it yesterday and I was like, now that I've got it in front of me, I can start pronouncing it, and I've still fucked it up.
You got it right in the end. That's the main
What's
thing.
their heritage?
It's Italian,
Yeah.
but mostly Greek. The mum side's Greek, and I think 6th or 7th generation Italian.
Sick.
A bit of Irish and whatever else sprinkled in there as well.
Yeah, we've got some pretty important topics to tackle today. The first one being, you just rolled in on this badass scooter. I was jealous as soon as you rolled that through the door. You rocked up, mate, can I bring my scooter inside? Of course. And you bring this thing with shockies on it and everything. I was like, I had this amazing, I thought it was a fat boy scooter. I thought it was amazing, but you've just trumped me.
No, it goes all right. That's my vehicle. Moved into Newstead just over a year ago, and that's my vehicle now. So
and the slick back hair as well, just from the breeze.
That's just from the wind, yeah. I didn't even do it.
You look like you're made for the movies. I love it. Mate, so you're getting married soon?
Yeah.
What are you, 2-3 weeks?
5 weeks. 5 weeks tomorrow.
How are you feeling?
I'm getting excited. It's definitely a little bit more like stress creeping in towards it. Just making sure everything's prepared and paid for.
They don't miss you.
No, yeah. As soon as you say wedding, there's a few extra zeros on it.
I was literally looking at a videographer yesterday, and he had all of his pricing, and I was like, da-da-da-da, and then it's like excluding weddings. Yeah. Like, you motherfuckers. As soon as it's wedding, it's like, what was now $500 is $20,000. Yeah, no, you're welcome.
It's about right.
Yeah, mate. So what's the process been like for you guys? Because have you had, I guess, your hands involved in it, or is the Mrs. Kel taking over?
Keely's been an absolute trooper. It's all right. Everyone gets Kelly. She's gotten all sorts of things, but anyway, it's a different story. Keely's been an absolute trooper, organising things. Like, her attention to detail is like next level. So it definitely takes a bit more pressure off me.
Yep.
Little decision things like that. She was like, "Oh, I'm not sure of this or this." I'm like, "Yep."
Just fun.
Yeah, give me 2 or 3 options. I'll go, "Yep, that one."
Yeah.
So I've been the finaling point.
Yeah, mate, I like that. Amy was the same, and I actually really enjoyed watching Amy. It was like she was in her element planning the wedding, and I, same as you, attention to detail. I could have had plastic chairs with a bed sheet over the table, and I would have been like, "Oh, how good's the spread?"
Yeah.
But then when I saw what Amy created, I'm sure what you're gonna experience, you'll be like, the ladies are just incredible.
Like, I've looked at her Pinterest board, and that's just as amazing. So can't wait to see what the finished product looks like.
I'd love to see your Pinterest board.
Yeah, it's not much.
Take us through the proposal.
So Hamilton Island, we went up there. What was it? I can't remember what I think it was just like end of the 3. Like, normally sort of 3 or 9 months. In the year, like we do a decent holiday.
Yep.
And I was like, let's just go up there. Like, I had the ring and everything sorted. I organised that like Christmas time. Took her up there. She was none the wiser. I was like, let's do a little video montage. Like, just film the trip. We'll get on the plane.
Was that out of the ordinary for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. Way out. And still, she was none the wiser. Just didn't know what was going on.
This is a new Zach. I like him.
Yeah. And then, obviously filmed all the way up into the hotel and organised a bottle of champers and a few rose petals on the bed, and still didn't realise what was going on. She was like, "Oh, this is really nice. The hotel's provided wine." Like, I was like, "Yeah, out of my wallet." But and then got on the balcony and dirtied the knee, and it was all over.
Were you nervous, like in the lead up to that?
Terrible.
How were you feeling?
I shoved the ring box and everything in like some thick old socks.
Yep.
Just to hide it, and I was trying to get into my bag while she was out. She's like, "Oh, Zach, come and have a look at this. There's birds here." I'm like, "Come in." I'm sweating. It all went well, and I wobbled down to one knee, and she cried, and it was great.
And she said yes.
Yeah, she said yes. Yeah.
The most important.
Obviously.
I don't think the girls realise how much pressure is on that moment, because in the lead up as well, I was like, "This is fine. I'll do this.
Yeah.
And literally moments before, I was just like,
I think we left at like 6 or 7 in the morning on the plane. Even on the plane, I was like,
She's like, what's wrong? I'm just nervous flying.
You're really anxious.
Oh, mate, that's exciting. It's going to be the best time of your life. Like, we're coming up to a year in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, on the 10th of October. Yeah, 1 year down. And yeah, we still have fond memories of it. And I think having the videos and the photos and just the laughs from the whole experience is one of the best things I've ever got to do. But we're going deep with a big question first.
So
you can crack that. Mate, when I had Bainey on, I so like there's a sticker down the side and I was like, fuck, he hasn't cracked it. So the whole time he's talking, I'm like wanting to get over there and snap it. And he's like, mate, I've already got it. Like, it's just a clean split. Mine was like, well, you see what mine looks like. It's just like, I peeled it. So there's a little random, boring, pointless story.
That's all right.
But what's your biggest failure and what did you learn from the experience?
In life in general? Or
yeah, you can take it wherever you want. Dance floor is yours.
Dance floor. Definitely around boxing. Like I've been in the boxing world for, what would it be, 13 years now. A fight, I had a year off because of injury and whatnot, and I took a fight on very short notice. Didn't prepare too well, just thought, I'll get in there. And but weighed in, I think I was walking around at like 88, 87.
Yep.
Fight weight in the amateurs is 81. So I had to drop 6 kilos on that one. That was a little bit nice. Cute.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry.
So I had to drop 6 kilos. And with the amateurs, it's weighing on the day. And I knew who I was up against. I was up against a guy who I'd beat previously. He actually went to the Olympics later on. But yeah, was up against this guy and I knew he was a strong fighter and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I've done enough. Like I should be right. Prep's good. Just totally lying to myself. And
complete denial.
weighed in. Got on the scale somehow. I looked like a drained out crackhead, but fought really weirdly. We fought like very early in the night. Yep. So it was like 3 hours. I had to recover and rehydrate and everything. And warming up through like a couple of shots, like, this doesn't feel good.
Oh, no.
So, again, probably a little bit mental with that. Like, I got in my head a little bit. I was like, once the fight was on, I'm like, let's give it all we got. And gave it everything, but yeah, got sat on my bum pretty quick. So, yeah.
Was it a knockout?
It was a stoppage. So, in the amateurs, once you get dropped once, you can sort of come back if you're good. But I think I got dropped once, come back up, and then drop the second time. Like, you're
Was
done.
that the one where you had neck issues from? The one where you got hit?
No, that was a little bit later on.
So you still got back in the ring after that?
So still go.
How, highlighting on that, like how important is good preparation?
Yeah. Like 3 rounds. I've had 49 amateur fights. So
49?
Yeah.
Why do you... What makes you want to keep getting back in the ring?
Achievements, I think. Like getting those extra little milestones.
Yep.
Like I'd been state champ, fought at Golden Gloves plenty of times. I really wanted to get to that national level, but couldn't quite cut it. I could beat national title holders, like different competitions and that sort of thing. But yeah, couldn't perform on the day. For some reason.
Why do you think that? Have you ever spent much time thinking about it?
Yeah, a little bit. I think prep. Like, if I was to tell myself 3 years ago what I know now, I reckon I'd get it.
Yep.
But yeah, injury and life gets in the way.
Hindsight,
I don't think. Yeah, hindsight. Everyone's hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah. 100%.
I think I'd be able to get it again, but yeah, different body at the moment.
What would be some of those things that you would do differently, knowing what you know now with the hindsight?
Programming, strength training, like boxing. Like I have a bigger sort of frame. Like as soon as I look at weights, I put weight on.
Yeah, mate. At the moment, because you're training for turf games, I'll
put on a little bit of weight. Yeah, no, definitely doing the right strength training, so probably a little bit more like explosive stuff, rather than the stuff we were doing in the gym was very old school boxing strength and conditioning, where it just blew you out. You were worn out, you're overtrained, and didn't end up going too well for most of us.
Do you feel boxing has a lot to learn in the S&C space?
Yeah, definitely. It's creeping in. There was a guy, I forget his name, it was down the AIS a few years ago, and he was sort of sprinkling a bit of goodness in there.
A bit of sprinkles on fairy bread.
Yeah, it was actually on the AIS. One of the strength and conditioning podcasts.
Oh, epic.
So yeah. But I think it's growing. Like, it's getting there. There's a few gyms in Sydney that do a very good job with a lot of fighters, like UFC fighters and everything as well. And obviously Mucky, you've had him on the show. He's doing a great job with the fighters he's got.
He's a smart dude. Seriously smart dude.
The numbers man.
He's the numbers man. Literally yesterday, he was. I can't remember who he was training. Were you training with him yesterday? One of the trainers was training with him. And I just hear, because I was training a client, and over the back I hear Mucky swing around in excitement. He's like, mate, if you really do you want to know your numbers? And I was like, how the fuck do you know his numbers when he doesn't even know his numbers? And you're training with him, not training him. And it's just insane and he's so accurate with it. It's quite crazy. Impressive.
I'd never done this thing on the Echo. It was, I think it was 1 minute on, 1 minute off for 10. I was like, he's like, do you want to know a number to go for? I was like, yeah, give me a number. And I can't remember what it is. I think it was like 7.5K for the whole lot. I was 7.4. I was like, damn.
He's good. He's good.
I'd never done it before as well. He's like, yeah, this is your number.
Do you think part of that is though it's given you an idea of what you could get to as well?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So if I did it tomorrow, I'd push for that 7.5.
But if you don't, you're like, 5's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're not even sweating, man.
Yeah.
I want to talk defeat, like overcoming defeat. So you lost that fight. How many? So you've had 45 amateur fights.
49.
49.
Yeah.
49. How did you overcome defeat to want to get back in the ring?
Again, I think it was a drive to achieve the next sort of step, the next level. Overcoming it. I think it's just more that preparation. Really narrowing in on that structure of training, making sure you're getting there each day. There's some days where you wake up, you're like, oh, I really can't be asked to train today, but you make it, and maybe it's not your best training session, but your head's in the door, you're still doing the work. Definitely think it's just around the structure of it and planning weeks and weeks in advance.
That preparation and having the plan and the commitment to follow that plan regardless of what life's thrown at you.
For amateur, for example, it's essentially 10 minutes of work, or 9 minutes of work.
It doesn't sound like much when you say that, but I've done some pad work and I'm 30 seconds. I'm like, can I stop yet? It's like cooking.
It's easy to get in your head, be like, I've done this before. It's fine. But yeah, you've really got to stay on top of it. And sparring, training, year in, year out, it's a 24/7 job, as any athlete would be.
Did you take defeat personally? Because I know when people experience setbacks, adversity, defeat, we tend to allow it to change our opinion of ourselves, right? It could have been, I'm not good enough, and then we start telling ourselves, I'm not good enough, and that transfers or spills over into other areas of our life. Did you ever experience that, or did that happen for you?
No, I don't think it ever spilled over into other areas. I definitely got in my head a little bit. There's the last couple of fights, I think I had 2 or 3 losses in a row. It's like, why am I doing this in the end? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for other people? And I think in the end, I was doing it a little bit for my ego, really. That's a realization I sort of came to. Not blaming anyone in the gym or anything like that, but you're walking into work, everyone's like, oh, when's your next fight? It was a lot of pressure, to fight, and I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for my facade, how people see me. And now that I've sort of taken a little bit more of a coaching role, I'm absolutely loving it. people still see me as a sort of boxing guy, but yeah, it's like I'm going to teach you how to throw a punch rather than show you. Like
and cop one.
Yeah.
Fuck, it is very true. Like it's a similar environment I feel when I walk into the gym, because there's so many incredible coaches. There's so many incredible people that just attend the gym, from business to life and everything. It makes me feel like I need to perform at a higher level. And I've mentioned it multiple times. When I go back home, I just completely relax. I'm like very content with my life. And then I come back here and I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. And
it's the bubble that gets in your head.
And it is good, because I am ambitious and I want to be better, but I'm also like, fuck, man, I just need to stop and relax for a moment. And
just stick to your processes and your route, like to try not to let anyone change that or steer you away from it. I think that's the biggest thing.
In the end, like, would you ever have another fight, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never say that. If I say the wrong thing on here, we might be having a fight.
Might not get married.
But coming to, I guess, your last fight, like you mentioned the last couple of fights, you started questioning things. What was it ultimately that made you go, look, I'm just going to have a breather for the time being?
Injury.
Yeah,
no. I changed gyms, so that was a big change. My old coach had he come from obviously a very credible trainer, like trained Jeff Horn, and took him onto the win to beat Pacquiao. And his background was very sort of martial arts and a little bit more, I suppose, unorthodox boxing, you'd call it. Whereas, trained over at Fortitude for the last couple of years. I haven't been back there in a few months, but they're definitely a bit more sort of structured boxers. Like this is the way you do it, and it's good for me to come from that very unorthodox way into this. So I can sort of shape myself into a very strict good boxer, and then throw some wild stuff in there as well. I think if I was to go back, I'd give it a good 6 months worth of training properly. And then hop in the ring.
Good preparation.
Yeah.
It shows how important it is as well to sort of learn from other people and get different approaches to achieving a similar outcome, because once again, we're all so different, and structure works really well for me. And I know for other people, they fucking hate structure, but you can learn so many things. It's just developing a toolkit, whether we're doing it for physical fitness. There's so many modalities of fitness. There's so many different nutritional styles. Learn about them, give them a crack and see what works for you. And then at various points in your life, when you're looking to achieve certain outcomes, pull on the toolkit. It's not just about being, I'm only keto or I'm only CrossFit. It's like, okay, for a period of time potentially, but you also can be so much more if you're prepared to learn, and also be aware that there isn't only one way to skin a cat. Yeah,
definitely. Like if I'm just I'm not training for anything. At the moment I'm training for turf games, so going a little bit harder. But if I'm not training for anything, I'm just on my day-to-day sort of stuff. I'll give myself two options. Like option A, you wake up feeling $1 million, you're doing option A. If you wake up feeling crappy, you're doing option B. And just sort of taking it each day by day like that.
Is option B where you just punish yourself for feeling crap? Or no, is it easier?
It's the same workout.
Yeah. You just call it A or B.
No, just something that's a little bit lighter on the nervous system, and you can still recover from it rather than go on like a 1 rep max or something stupid load.
Yeah. How important is it to be mindful of that when training? Like as a coach as well, do you take that into account when programming and doing sessions for people as much as you do for yourself?
Definitely, yeah. More so for the general public than I do for myself.
Yeah. Sometimes you're like, come on, mate, just push it today.
Let's just do this. Don't give myself an easy option.
Yep.
But obviously, we've got all walks of life in that gym.
Yep.
Whether it's business owners, big business owners, small business owners, whatever it is. Definitely having that, because if they've had a big week at work, you're smashing them at training, they're not going to end up going too well.
It's like putting a jet lighter on a cigarette.
Just burning the candle at both ends.
It's very, very important. I love touching on it. But what got you into boxing originally?
I was playing rugby and broke my ankle.
Did you?
And when was that? 2010.
And so you go on to the sport where you need to be on your toes. Yeah. Nice.
I was like, I'll do something. Like, sort of recovered from that. I was like, I'll do something that sort of, just get a bit of fitness up rather than loading the legs too much. And, got into that. Played a few extra trial games of footy the next year. And within that sort of time, I had my first fight up at Golden Gloves in Caboolture. Of the best place. And sort of went there 2 months later, had state titles and won that. And then I was like, I think I'm a better boxer than I am footy player. So we'll stick to boxing and give it a go. And then,
You didn't ever combine the two?
Played in a few like fill-in games and that sort of thing, but never on the field.
Yeah, good. I was just checking.
It's funny, I was pretty hot-headed before boxing. Like on the footy field, if someone's standing on you in a ruck, I wouldn't be shy of swinging at you. But since starting boxing, like if there's an altercation in the street or something like that, I'll be the first one to walk away from it.
Why is that?
I think it's like, I don't know, I've thought about it a bit. For me, I think it's, I've proved myself in the ring.
Yeah.
Whereas other people were like, I've got to do this. Like I've got to prove myself. I'm the big man. Yeah.
That sort of, it's important to think about like where that comes from, because I was one of those aggressive, angry boys, and when I think back to it, it was definitely insecurity, and I was trying to prove a point. But a lot of the reasons why I was trying to prove something was because I felt inadequate. And when you're aware of why you're acting in certain ways, you can then start working on accepting it and addressing it. And no one likes to admit to themselves that they feel inadequate or they don't feel worthy or whatever it is. It's hard to think about. But once you put yourself in that position, you can then start going, okay, well, what has to happen for me to feel adequate? What does it look like for me to love myself or whatever that is? And we can start working on that plan. But most of us go, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm going to go sink a few tins and get in a street fight and the boys will love me and I'll be strong and powerful. And it's like, okay, well, enjoy prison.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You see how tough you are in there.
There's a few extra people that would have it over you.
Yeah, and there's always going to be someone bigger and tougher, and that probably goes back to what you were talking about in your last couple of fights, how you were thinking about, why am I actually doing this now? Is it ego? And I feel, probably looping right back around to defeat, there comes this level of spirituality because you have to start asking yourself questions. And if we don't have an environment where people challenge us, because most people want to support us in our life, or hopefully they do, but you do need those people who go, man, you've had 3 losses in a row. Why are you doing this to yourself? What's the purpose? And if no one's doing that for us, that's where, for me, spirituality came in. I don't like to sit here with like a Reiki thing or anything, but it's just like, I just started asking. Sorry, just the sage stick we came through earlier. But I started asking myself questions, and you have to sit with that for a bit. And once again, many people feel uncomfortable sitting there with their own thoughts. Like if you were to ask clients or people in your life, or for anyone listening, whether you can just sit there and process things that are going through your mind, most of us don't want to do that. We stay very busy. We look for avoidance things through pornography, alcohol, drugs, even exercise to a degree, to avoid what's really there. But if we can get comfortable, and once again, I look at that mindfulness is spirituality, is that's what it is for me, whether it's journaling, thinking, to go, okay, well, what is the question that I'm not answering here, or I'm not asking myself here to understand that, so I don't do X, Y, or Z. Because once again, I don't want to be a prick. I don't want to be violent. I don't want to be aggressive. They were just a symptom of stuff that I was avoiding. Yeah, definitely. You gotta I get annoyed at myself when I don't know why I'm doing something. So like if I've snapped out of nowhere and gone like, hang on a minute, like why did I say that? Like thinking about it like two minutes later, you're like, that was a real dick move. Like why am I doing that? Like what's caused me to think that way? I need to break that down to really understand it. Where like if you're just sort of brushing it off, and it's just going to happen again. Yeah, 100%. Rinse and repeat. You don't know what you don't know. So, you may have she said, "Gone, fuck, that was a dick thing to say," and you may be embarrassed about it or feel guilty, but if you don't sit down and think about it, as you said, it will happen again. Always does. It's going to fester and it's going to come back, and maybe you do say something snappy or smart-assish to your fiance, or I say it to my wife, and I just go, "Man, fucking whatever, water off a duck's back." But if I do it again, it's like Amy could be like, "Nah, I'm not tolerating that." Yeah, no. And I'm like, okay, well, when I do, and because I'm guilty of it all the time of saying, because I heard a really great saying once to say, when emotion's high, intellect's low. And I'm an emotional dude. So there's very many moments when I say or do things that I'm like, dumbass. And then you sort of like take that 2 minutes, as you said, and they're like, I need to sort this out. I need to go address the issue, and then I need to think about what led me to do that and how I could manage that better in the future.
Yeah, definitely. A big rule Kelly and I have, not really a rule, but
unspoken.
So just something we do. If we're having a blue or whatever it's about, we sort it out that day. Never go to sleep angry. And it's worked for everything so far.
How'd that come about for you guys? Had that unwritten law?
I don't know. We both just sort of like, we're sorting this shit out. We have done from day dot. I'm not too sure why.
Did you were there moments or relationships prior where you hadn't done that and maybe you learnt from that experience?
Yeah, probably. I think for myself, a couple of them, just going, yep, see you later. Bye. Talk to you tomorrow. But yeah, no, I think we're a similar way, conflict outside of the ring. I'm normally, I absolutely hate it. Whereas with close family and things, sometimes we'll snap a little bit and things will come up. And Keely's probably the same. Really nice, but there's definitely that feisty side to her. But we both know that we need to sort this out during the day or during that day.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, it's a 5-minute conversation and it's sorted.
That's cool. That's a great way to handle it. I think that's a fantastic. There's been times, not recently, but I used to, when I wanted to avoid the conflict, I'd go sit on the lounge and be like, no, she's going to come out here eventually and say sorry or whatever. And then I'd be stewing on the couch and fuck, I need to go in and say sorry. And then eventually I'd be like, fuck it. I'd walk back in and apologize, I'm sorry. And that was just at a point in my life where I couldn't manage my emotions. I always let my ego get the better of me, or, I couldn't say sorry. I didn't want to be wrong. But it's at the end of the day, the stuff we were having a heated discussion about fucking was nothing in the grand scheme of things. So just drop. I don't have anything to prove.
No, yep.
And I feel that once again, going back to it, a lot of us, when we're stressed or we're having arguments with our partners, it's it doesn't even finish about what it started about. It ends up being, I'm just going to fucking win.
Yeah.
Whatever we're bickering about, you're the fucking loser. I'm the winner. You can sleep on the couch.
There's been so many times where I've been arguing a point and Keely goes, well, why are you even saying that? She puts it in her perspective. I'm like, that's bang on right. I'm really sorry. Just eat my own words and stop. Know when you're defeated.
Know when you're defeated. And that's probably where sport and having those defeats in boxing has given you, I guess, insight into other areas of your life, right? Because you've had to have those moments of reflection. And if you go, well, it worked well in sport, I may as well reflect on my relationship, my work life, various other moments like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it all creeps in there somehow.
What's it like cutting weight? You said
terrible.
You look like a crackhead.
Well, that one was the worst. They say as a general rule, try and get with good diet, get within 5% of the weight you need to be.
Why do you drop so much instead of just going, for example, you're at 86 and you drop down to 81? Why wouldn't you just fight it whatever's close to 86?
No, 91 is the next step
that's
up.
why you don't want to.
10 kilos, bigger people.
Yeah.
I was short for a light heavyweight at 81. And if you go up to that 91, you're fighting giants.
That makes sense. Simple response. I was like, are you just trying to drop heaps? And have a heap more power?
I don't know. I don't understand, especially with the lighter weights. There's 4 or 5 kilos in it sometimes. They're absolutely killing themselves to get to the lighter weight. and burning energy to do it. Like I don't understand that. And
it's got to take a special kind of person to be able to put yourself through that, though.
Yeah, no, it's a hurt box. Yeah, think of sitting in the sauna for as long as you can.
And I struggle at about 12 minutes, and I'm like, oh fuck.
But then you've got to do skipping with a sweatsuit on after that. Go for a jog with a sweatsuit on after that. Like, you just got to keep it pouring out of you for as long as you can.
What is that? Has that taught you much about resilience?
No. Like, to be honest, I think it's the stupidest thing you could do. Like, I wouldn't recommend anyone to do with it. Like, if someone was like, oh, I'm having my first fight in a couple of weeks' time, like, good, fight a weight above what you're at the moment. Like,
yeah, right.
First few fights, it wouldn't matter. Like, once you're sort of getting a bit more serious, then yeah, sure, you might need to do a little cut or something like that. But just get in, get the experience, and see how you go after that. Dennis has an amazing plan where he cuts weight. Like, talking about structure with him, so that's a human I've learned a lot from. Water loads, and then like, he barely has to do a few rounds of pad work or skipping. Like,
he's a magician, with how strategic he is around his boxing.
Yeah, around anything in life. Like, I've learned a lot from that man. We're very thankful.
I remember when I had him on the podcast, and he was the first person that I've spoken to where I'm like, this guy's belief in self is fucking out of this world.
Next level.
Like, you could not help but walk away from talking to him, just being like, fuck. You can see why people are like world class and what that mindset looks like. And
definitely,
there was no stuttering. There was everything was, I'm already there.
Yeah,
I'm already there.
yeah.
And I was like,
it's not like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. Like, it's like, I'm there. Like, I've done it. Like,
I thought I was a confident person, but then I was like, man, and in a good way, like, his confidence is like, I aspire to be able to have that much belief in myself.
Yeah. There's like some conversations I've had with him. Like, I walk away going, fuck, maybe I can be world champion.
Walking back into boxing.
Fight.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn.
12 weeks, make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the patch on the back of the arm.
Yeah, yep. So CGM, continual glucose monitor.
Yep.
Just wear it for 2 weeks. Just essentially tracks your blood sugar.
Yep.
Really good for, obviously, type 1 diabetic.
Yep.
Really good for seeing sort of what foods spike you, what training does to you, what sleep does to you. Like,
what have you noticed since using it?
It makes you more strict on what you're eating. Every now and again, love a good feed. So have a blowout on the weekends or whatever it is. With this, even if you do see it spike, it's like, all right, like, that's made it do that. Like, I know why it's done it.
Yep.
Just correct from that and off you go. But yeah, no, definitely makes me a lot more strict with my diet and what I do during the day.
So as type 1, is it hereditary? Were you born with it? Or
sort of. It's classified as an autoimmune disease. But mum had it. Mum technically doesn't have it anymore. She had a kidney and pancreas transplant.
Okay.
So, technically doesn't have type 1 diabetes, but
that's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's like spare parts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy what, like, the way health's going and the things that they're improving on as well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But as, like, living and having diabetes, like, what are some of the challenges that for you, like, as an athlete and when you were fighting and stuff like that, but then also as a coach, does it interfere with things dramatically, or have you really learnt to manage it well?
No, not a great deal. Like, the way I explain diabetes to people, it's like your body has the same response as, say, someone without diabetes.
Yep.
But it's just exaggerated. So, like, if you were to have a skull or Powerade or something like that, your blood sugar would still spike, but mine would spike even more. Like,
so you're better.
Yeah. I win.
Yeah, right. And so then, then moving into the health industry, like, because I was reading a lot about diabetes last night, but type 2 is hereditary, but it's also brought on, or can be, but it also brought on by, like, obesity and a lot more lifestyle factors.
Yeah, lifestyle diabetes, I think a lot of people call it. So obviously poor health and not looking after yourself, that can bring that on. with those sort of diseases as well. Like you can be more susceptible to other ones. So say like arthritis and that.
Okay.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's complications that come with diabetes as well. If you've got really poor control, then like there's diabetics that lose limbs and
I was reading some stuff.
You would have seen some horrific stuff,
mate. I like just because I've seen you and I've got another mate who has diabetes and they always seem in control, and I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. It's easy, right? And then I was reading it and it's like it's hectic, like hectic.
But it shouldn't be hard.
But you also look after yourself as well. Like you prioritize your well-being, your health, your nutrition, your sleep.
Definitely,
there's people out there, and I guess what frustrates me is you see people really neglecting their health and are obese and overweight, and you do hear things like you could get type 2 diabetes or various other disease, and it's like, nah. And then they get it and they're like, fuck, what do I do? How do I reverse this?
Yeah, yep.
Does that, as someone who has type 1, does that frustrate you when you sort of see people taking their health for granted at all?
Definitely. Like I see diabetics like turn a blind eye to it. Like they're like, oh no, don't have it. And they'll be going out drinking and doing whatever else. Like I just don't understand that because it's not a hard thing to do. Like definitely a struggle. Like it's an extra factor you've got to think about and that sort of thing. But like there's people way worse off in the world. Like it's not a bad thing to if that's all you've got going for, that's all you got sort of wrong with you. It's not a bad thing.
It's just another thing to be mindful of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more of an excuse to look after yourself and keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, it blows my mind that the people who need to look after themselves the most are the ones that are just like extremely avoidant of where their time needs to be going, or minimizing alcohol, improving pretty much what we preach at Function Well, and even with the man, it's just like, look after your fucking health. Take responsibility for it. It's the one thing that, you can't get back once it's fucked.
Yeah, no, you can burn it up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's legit. And I was very curious to see how you thought, or what your thoughts and opinions of it were, people who just neglected that. But I'm sure it's probably the same for all areas. Like we want the best for people. Sometimes they don't want the best for themselves, and that's their own journey, and they'll have to deal with the consequences of such actions.
Yeah, definitely. And ideal diabetic's life is probably what like most people should be having for a diet, especially with and a little bit more risk of getting other diseases and that sort of thing. Like you probably want a lower carb diet, higher protein, that sort of thing. But yeah, like it's not a hard thing to do. And I don't know. I've lived in a very sporty sort of upbringing, and obviously mum had the diabetes for a long time, and so I've learned a lot off her and her mistakes that she didn't know she was doing as well. But yeah, I find it really hard to see how people can just let things slide down the hill and and keep going the way they're going. Sometimes, like you stop for a week, you'll feel better. Like it's crazy with a poor lifestyle. Like
So has it helped you get more, I guess, in tune with listening to your body? Like,
I think so. Like I think it makes you listen to your body. Like during a training session or something like that. Like your legs go on you because you've done like squats and running or something like that. Like that's the sort of feeling when your blood sugar's going down as well. So I'm like, shit, is my blood sugar low or am I just being a pussy?
Well, then you got to deal with it, balance that out, right?
So a quick 2-minute check. That's why these things are the best. Like it takes 2 seconds. Don't have to draw blood or anything. And you're like, oh, no, I was just being soft.
It's just me trying to check out.
9 times out of 10, it was that.
That's a good point to raise, though. I think in today's, where we're at currently in society, there are so many things that are getting attention, which they 100% need attention, but it's also providing a lot more reasons why people are sort of tapping out of things before they should be. There's am I being soft or is my blood sugar low? We'll check it and find out, and then you'll get your response. But it's very easy to go, I'm not going to check it, I'm just low. When in reality, you could just be tapping out and you're not pushing yourself to your greater potential. And obviously, if the outcome that you're working towards is important, That's a reason people do it with career, business, relationships. And it's like, well, check out what the real cause is here. Like, is it just you're not prepared to go back and finish the conversation with your wife or your partner, and you're going to sleep on the couch, and then you'll probably move out the next day? It's like there's all these moments where we need to really step up. And I'm you read about stoicism, but I'm also just like, just take responsibility. And if you're okay with not achieving an outcome, or you want the outcome, at least you're in control to dictate that. But if you keep looking for reasons why you can't achieve things, or why this didn't work out for you, you just, once again, you're going to sit at home sucking your thumb going, fuck, my life sucks.
Yep.
So some resources on diabetes as well for people to listen to. Obviously, head over to you at Coach Zach _
Yeah, Coach Zach was taken, unfortunately, I think.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the...
I had to add the extra little underscore to add some flair.
I always think you should have put a little fire emoji as well or something. I always think about, I'm so lucky I got onto Instagram early, so I got my full name with no underscores or dots.
I had the stupidest names when I first started Instagram. So
Zachy B69 or
yeah,
something.
something like that. No, it was like they call him Bassy or something like that. I was like, yeah, good job, mate.
Yeah, well done. Amazing. You know what they say, when emotion's high, the excitement of joining Instagram, the intellect's low, and you choose a name like that.
Yeah,
which is fun. But you're happy to have a yarn with people about any of that sort of
stuff.
Yeah,
definitely. Mindset. Yeah, just reach out, whatever it is.
The book you recommended, Diabetes Solution by Dr. Bernstein.
Yeah.
Bernstein. There's a Facebook group, Typeonegrit, and Let Me Be 83 are also good things, which is brilliant. Yeah. Is there anything you'd want to add to like the diabetes stuff, that I guess things that you wish you knew earlier, or for people who are training with diabetes that could be beneficial for them?
Definitely these things. I wish they came out 10 years ago.
Yep.
It'd be great. The CGMs, but to be like the biggest thing I've done in the past in recent past is really fine tune my diet, higher protein, lower carb, and a fair bit of fiber as well.
Yep. Get it bloody flowing.
Yeah, well, and more of just the blood sugar, like. Yep. If I have the same meal and no greens or no sort of fibrous component of it, like I can see a decent spike, especially with this. But if you have the same thing, it sort of just mellows out, does a little hop up. But
what I forgot the question now. Damn it! It was going to be brilliant. It was probably going to make the episode. No, I've forgotten. Anyway, that's all good. Why is physical fitness important to you?
For health, for the most part. So strength training, predominantly. Like as I said in my boxing career, like I sort of turned a little blind eye to it and didn't really do it too much. But as I've sort of come out of that, I've definitely realised how important it is, and again, I see that through the data I've got from this.
Yep.
Life, longevity, and quality. I would say that's why it's important.
I like it.
Yeah,
really, really like it. And I just remember what my thought was around the nutrition. How have you been educating? Have you had like a nutritionist or dietitian? Are you tracking that on, for example, MyFitnessPal, or are you just self-educating?
Self-educated to start with. I was doing it all MyFitnessPal and using data from the CGM.
Yep.
But most recently, gone to Next Practice, GP over there, Melanie Bose.
Yep.
She's a lifestyle practitioner, and just show me a few sort of supplements and things to add into my diet, what to stop sort of having as well.
That's awesome.
And it's been absolutely amazing since seeing her. Like, I went to my specialist yesterday, and my HbA1c is back down to like 6, which is a perfect range for a diabetic. 5 or 5.15 is like a normal person's range, so not far off that.
You're on fire.
Just smashing
things. Mate, that's awesome. Why is mental fitness important to you?
If your head's not right, nothing's right. Like
that is the best. That is so good. Like, just to the point.
I don't even know why I said it. It just came out.
Mate, some call it wisdom.
Yeah, sure. No, mental fitness. If
you don't even need to elaborate on that, mate. That's just
clear
and to the point. I think it's So important. But what would be, I guess, just to add to that, what are some things that you do to work on your mental fitness or your mental well-being?
Do some journaling. Not religiously. If I'm a bit more anxious and stressed out and things, I'll definitely.
What does journaling look like for you?
5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Just
double up.
Just something real easy. A lot of times, if I'm stressed or anxious, it'll be that nighttime one that's really important.
Yep.
A good thing that I do is if I've got things troubling you, like sometimes lay in bed and go, fuck, forgot that program.
Yep.
Like,
mate, I've experienced that.
Literally writing it down, pen to paper too, not on the phone.
Yep.
And that just like, all right, that's written down now. I can forget about that and have a good night's sleep. Like, it's helped me out a lot.
That's epic. Is there one more thing that you do for mental fitness? Get as much out of you as possible.
For physical fitness, I feel like that's good for my health, my head health. Yep. Training. Like if I don't train, I'm a grumpy prick, and no one wants that.
I feel you. And finally, we obviously mentioned people can find you on Coach Zach. You also got a boxing. Can you quickly run us through the boxing program?
Yeah, cool. So roughly every quarter, run a 6-week boxing program. So people, all different levels. People have never thrown a punch before, to people who've done corporate fights and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Run 6 weeks through that and just train people sort of how to throw punches properly, different skills with sparring, how to take a punch as well.
Hopefully you never have to.
No, or how to avoid them as well.
How to duck and weave.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And can they find you any other way or contact you any other way other than Coach Zach on Instagram?
The FFC website as well, so fightingfitchallenge.com.
Boom. Got that written down. Mate, thanks so much for coming on. This has been a good laugh and a pleasure, and I've taken away a heap.
That's good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Cheers, brother.